Welcome back to the Padawan YouTube channel. I'm Oliver, and this is my wife, Christy, and we just got back from the Rise of Skywalker, and we're just going to do our breakdown, so stick around and find out. All right, welcome back. We'll start off with a quick recap, non-spoiler, and then give you a warning, and then we'll go into spoilers. So what did you think, non-spoilery?
I thought it was absolutely awesome. I don't know what I was thinking going into it. I was thinking big Star Wars movie, lots going on, a lot of action, which definitely you kind of get in from the get-go. They don't kind of ease you into anything when you first start the movie. As soon as you sit down and the lights go on, it's already full of some action-packed scenes, which was great to see. I think you see a lot of familiar characters that you've seen from some of the other movies. You see some new characters. If you're someone like me who just kind of watches the movies for pure enjoyment, there's a lot of characters that have been brought to my attention through Oliver, who knows a lot more of the backstories and who certain characters are that I might not have picked up on, and how they kind of tie into the story in general. But you're definitely not going to be bored if you're someone that's easily entertained like myself. There's again, like I said, a lot of high action stuff. The graphics are awesome. I was telling Oliver earlier, there's a lot of stuff they do really well when it comes to the scale of things. So you said that you loved that from Rogue One, just kind of like the size of the ships and the details, and you definitely get a sense of that in this movie. There's a couple scenes where you kind of look at what they're up against, and you're kind of like thinking to yourself, I don't think they're gonna get through this. This is a kind of like a situation that's just not manageable from the situation that the other group is coming from. So you just kind of cross your fingers. You're like, I know they're gonna get through this, but you really don't know how. So it was definitely on the edge of your seat. A lot of emotions running through. Definitely some things that kind of pull at your heartstrings a little bit, and certain things where you kind of cheering when you see that they happen. There was a ton of clapping in the theater, which I thought was kind of fun. It's kind of cheesy sometimes when you're watching a movie and the audience kind of claps when something happens, but at this,
it's very opening night.
Very opening night. There's a lot of reactions from the crowd, and there's a lot of diehard fans. You could tell in the theater. You could hear some side conversations from the people around you, depending if they had a good or bad kind of things. But yeah, overall, I absolutely loved it. And again, coming from someone that doesn't know a ton of the backstory, I thought it was awesome. Yeah, awesome.
It was good. It definitely, like we said, picks up right off the start.
Yep.
Like it's a lot early, a lot to take in. So from someone who obviously is obsessed and knows a lot about the background and stuff like that, there was too much for one viewing. I feel like I missed a lot, and we were just talking about some of the stuff, and like you would say something and I was like, I don't even remember that happening, like, because it's a whirlwind. I think too, again, without being spoilery, I think this will be really fun to rewatch. I think that like a lot.
Yes.
I don't think this can be. I feel like you'll see something new every time. There was so much stuff in the background. For me, I know you're not looking in the background, but like we said in one of the scenes, I was like, I missed half the stuff that happened because I'm just looking in the background for like my alien show and like trying to figure out what's going on, and I like missed some stuff. But overall, non-spoilery. Obviously, I just saw it, and I feel like every time I see one, it's my favorite movie. So I'm not gonna rank it yet, but I do think this is my favorite of the new sequel trilogy sequel trilogy.
Definitely.
I think I can say that with confidence. But yeah, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I would stop now. Now we're gonna get into a little bit more of some of the actual plot details. So we'll see you in a few days. Have fun, watch it, and now we'll get into the spoiler stuff. So what was your I know you talked about some heartstring stuff.
Yeah.
What was the worst one for you?
Oh, had to be Chewie.
The original Chewie.
Yes.
The fake out.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Because Chewie's just such a beloved character. You've seen him from the very beginning. And it's one of those things where, excuse me, can I say like what actually happens? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Okay. So the first the first scene when you think that Chewie died, and you're kind of like, oh well, you know, it's the last movie. You know, some main characters are gonna have to die, and
Right.
you don't want it to be Chewie, but you know he's loved and he's been in it for so long, and then you know there's this little inkling in the back of my head where I'm like, you know, maybe he's okay, maybe he made it, and then you find out in the end you see him on the ship, and you're like, yay, Chewie, this is great, and then you kind of like in your head, but because they don't show how it happened, obviously he got off on a different ship, but they in no way
give you that opportunity to guess.
To even think about it. Like it happened, cool, how'd it happen? Like they couldn't have shown like some of their ship way off in the background, you know, shooting out, and there was nothing, absolutely nothing. They just made you completely think he was toast.
Yeah, and as I was telling you, like when that happened for me too, I went, oh, that's how he's gonna go out. Like that, he went out. I was saying to you, in like the legend stuff, he dies too, and he's saving one of Han Solo's sons. So you know, I thought they did. I was convinced because again, like you said, they don't show you another ship.
Yeah.
So it's very much like that's the only one leaving. She goes to grab it and holds it, and then it, you know, whatever goes on, it blows up, and yeah, I thought he was a goner. That was a bummer.
Yeah.
But the other Chewie moment got me.
Yes.
When he finds out Leia died. That I've heard a lot of Chewie howls, and that one was haunted. That was a bad one.
That was a hurt Chewie.
The Han and Kylo moment, that was pretty deep. I don't do father-son stuff well. That's the one that gets me.
Only because you're a father now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what other. I mean, obviously Leia. That was tough. I think that was tough for Poe. That one was tough because I think he always is like. It seems like he always wants to be the leader, but he always knows Leia's there. So I feel like he always has that thing to fall back on. So when she died, I think he like went into panic mode.
It just shows his like utmost respect for her because it's one of those relationships where they just butt heads so much, and they never see eye to eye. But like you were saying, like he always knows that Leia knows best and has a plan.
Right.
And you just saw how hard that hit him, even though he knew kind of, you know, it wasn't like she got murdered by any means. It wasn't like a tragic death. It was kind of like come full circle almost. Like she was doing it for the greater good to help because in some way, shape, or form, she knew what she was doing and how that was going to impact the situation.
Yeah.
So it kind of made it into more of like a little bit more of a, you know, it happened for a good reason. You know?
I thought it was cool that Lando showed up at that point because I thought his whole line with that was really good. With like when Poe's like, "How did you do it?" and he's like, "We didn't know what we were doing."
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta, and then that kind of brings back the whole like those, you know, Poe, Finn, and Rey are the new Leia,
the new gang.
Han, you know, Luke, Chewie, and Lando. But it was good. What are some of the? What was your favorite part of the movie?
Ooh, you're gonna make me pick. Favorite part.
Or I guess the part that stands out the most. What was like the?
I think I really enjoyed the part when Rey and Kylo really kind of understood each other. When, like, because for the longest time you thought Kylo was just such this bad guy, and he was like Vader reborn on the dark side. You know, all he wanted was to rule and to be like a Palpatine or like a Sith or something like that. And then as, like, pretty early on in the movie, or maybe towards the middle, when they were fighting on the ship.
Back and forth on when he was on the ground and she was in his chamber or whatever. That one?
That part too, but it's use...
Or on the Death Star ship in the water.
Kind of on in the water.
Okay, yeah.
And you just, once they realized they were on the same page, and you realized that a little bit in the beginning too, Kylo, he's hinting towards like, you know, I don't want to be the same type of person or ruler that Palpatine was. I want him gone. But even though he still wants to rule, and you still feel like it's in a negative way, you don't feel like he wants to rule in a positive way. It was still very negative, but they gave you the impression that he still wanted to rule in a very forceful and negative way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Once you got the idea that, and also once he turned too, you're kind of like, oh no, they're both going to be good, and this is going to work, and they're going to, you know, rule together, but at least, you know, you have two light forces, if you will, kind of going against the evil side. Yeah. So, and I for the longest time, I thought that, and I think we both thought it, we thought that Kylo was going to die in a more, I wouldn't say, I mean, it still was tragic, the way he died, but it was.
I think he fulfilled what I guessed. I would have guessed he would have gone out more like.
I would have
fighting.
Yes, I would have thought like
someone?
Palpatine would have stabbed him, or Palpatine would have used the Force to completely kill him, even though he kind of did by throwing him off the cliff or whatever.
I thought it was going to be like one of those where like he has to stay behind to explode everything
with
Palpatine,
like a
and
holdo
can't leave.
type of situation.
Yeah. But it's still, I mean, it ended up being the same thing. It was more meaningful. He literally gave his life to save Rey's in the most literal sense. Like he literally brought her back to life.
I just loved the way they did it, and I love to see their relationship, even though their 1 second relationship. Yes, the majority of their relationship was very like tumultuous, very back and forth, and trying to fight for different things. But then you find out in the end that it was for the same thing. I just really liked Reylo.
That was their celebrity name.
Oh, that's a real thing?
Yeah. People are
big
fans of Reylo.
I love Reylo, but
even before it actually happened, they're going to be pumped. Those people will be very happy.
But I feel like it's like more Ben and Rey.
Well, yeah, but Reylo works better.
It does. Reylo works better than
works
Bay.
Pretty good.
But I just felt like super happy when
that was a good one.
When Kylo kind of came back, and when Rey went behind her back. I didn't know at first. I kind of thought she was gonna like sacrifice herself for some reason because she couldn't.
It was an interesting move. I didn't.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the whole how they can kind of snatch things from each other.
That is a weird Force thing or whatever. They can like, kind of be there.
Yeah, but I thought that was awesome.
That was
and
cool
then
part.
They just come together full circle and they work together, and I love that. They gave me the feels.
Yeah, I think. I mean, all the connections. There were so many neat things to go back and look at. Again, like I told you, like canon-wise, my head's spinning. I can't even remember all the pieces, and like excited to kind of see it again. And once we get it on video, to be able to break it down. But I love the very end, which usually isn't my favorite part. I'm usually bummed out by the end because then it's over. But her yellow lightsaber, I've always been obsessed with yellow lightsabers. It was part of her staff, which I always thought the staff looked like it could be a lightsaber hilt. And for her to do the thing with, I know people are going to hate it, but I loved that she took the name Skywalker with them there. I think people are going to think it's cheesy, but I think it just fits the saga. I think that in my biggest takeaway, to finish up, and then I'll let you finish up with, I think my biggest takeaway is that some people are the haters out there that just want to complain about it and everything are going to see all the connections as like too much. But I think this is exactly, I've been thinking in like other movies, there's just trilogies, but has there ever been like a trilogy of trilogies? There's so many movies and so much story to be able to make all these connections is so creative. And I think people are going to complain about connections when they think they're forced. I don't think, some of them may be when I rewatch and kind of pick it out, but I don't think there were any that like took away from the story. I think all the connections made the story what it was, and I think this was I can't imagine, again, based on what they have from Force Awakens and Last Jedi, I can't imagine ending it a better way. And it was, that last scene was cool, that she takes the Skywalker name. Good. And now I was telling you, I'm kind of bummed that they said they are not doing any more Star Wars movies, like Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, and I think Oscar Isaac. But because I can just see like a new Jedi Order thing with Rey. But that was my biggest takeaways. I think they did the connections really well, and for looking at it as this one to cap off 9 other films, or 8 other films, sorry, was incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, I feel like when you have a movie that's the title of it is The Rise of Skywalker, you can't really have it end any other way. Like,
especially when all the other Skywalkers die and disappear.
Yes, she has to take that name because obviously she can't say Palpatine because there's such a negative connotation to it.
Right.
And
she could bring a good connotation to it, though.
She could, but I think that would take some time. I don't think that's something you can say right away. But yeah, I agree too. I think, and I didn't even really know a ton of the connections, but I think just the way they closed everything, I think, was awesome. And there have not been a ton of trilogy movies that I have liked how things ended,
you were saying
even
that,
movie-wise, book-wise, TV show-wise. But this felt very complete, and you're always sad.
It was satisfying, which is tough to do.
It was. You always feel sad when something ends, and you always have such high expectations for something. But I can solidly say that this is the first ending to, again, like whether it be a book, movie, TV show, that I felt kind of at peace with it, if you will.
Yeah.
I think they closed things well. You knew where all the characters stood. They didn't really leave you with any cliffhangers, which is nice. But then it makes you think that, like, oh, it really is dead. Like, there was nothing to leave you really hanging at the end. You're like, nope, it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. 9 movies, gone.
Which, I mean, they did a good job, I think.
Yeah.
So, from a super fan looking at everything, I think it was great. I think they did a good job. I don't think there was a lot of erasure of The Last Jedi. I think it fits, and I think it closes the saga as a whole. And I think it's the best of the trilogy. I think it's the best of this trilogy, definitely, which is usually tough to do with the last movie. And from someone who's a general fan but isn't into all the stuff overall.
Absolutely loved it.
Awesome.
I have no bad things, and I'm easily entertained at the same time. But I thoroughly enjoyed every second. I was doing this. I was doing this.
You were all over the place.
I was all over the place. I was whispering in his ear, asking questions and stuff. But overall, fantastic movie. I think any age, awesome, great for any age, any type of movie genre that you may like. I think there's something for everybody in it for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this with me.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yep. And we will catch you later.
Bye.
See you, Podawans.